Thank you for being here. You just heard it, but I'll say it again. Say hi to Bill Squire. He's right over there.
Hey, creepy hug.
Mary Santora's back, too.
What up?
Poundcake is back in Studio G.
Afternoon, white people. Hello.
If you'd like to join us, we'd love to have you. 216-578-1007 on the phone or 800-348-1007. 35192. If you want to text me, that's the number to do it. If you're listening on iHeartRadio live, you can leave talkback messages there. Little red button. You can always use our after hours line to leave voicemails for us as well. And of course, AlanCoxShow.com is where you can watch live. Normally, I'll open the show with some kind of snarky or pithy anecdote of my own. And I don't really have one today, but fortunately, all three of my colleagues here on the big program each have their own bone to pick with something. I don't know if it's too dramatic to call it a series of rants, but each one of them contacted me individually and said, boy, have I got something I need to get off my chest. Fortunately, not about me, so that's great. So let me spin the wheel here and see who we'll start with. You want to do that?
Sure.
We'll just spin the wheel. Bill Squire gets to start today with whatever is bumming him out.
Let's go. I wouldn't say I'm bummed out. I saw Oppenheimer, and I thought it was really bad.
And you never think movies are bad.
I never think movies are bad.
Right.
And I thought this one was so overhyped. Okay.
When you texted Oppenheimer sucked, I assumed you were kidding.
No. So what's the big thing that they're really pushing with this movie? Is it to see
IMAX.
it in IMAX? See it in IMAX. Why should you see something in IMAX? Because it's got this, over-the-top cinematography that's going to just blow your mind.
Mm-hmm.
This is a 3-hour movie where the majority of the shots are just close-ups of dudes' faces in small rooms. So when they're like, you got to see this in IMAX.
Did you see it in IMAX?
Yes, I saw it in IMAX. I didn't
Christopher
see it.
Nolan shot it on IMAX cameras specifically for this.
And I didn't see it in the right IMAX. But when it's just some dude's face 4 feet away from the camera, I don't get what the whole see it in IMAX thing is, other than just them trying to get a higher box office gross because IMAX tickets cost twice as much.
Do they?
They do.
Well, but aren't there, I would imagine, though, over the course of a 3-hour film about Jim Bob Oppenheimer, that there would be big wide shots of nuclear tests. Aren't those the money shots in this movie?
You get one nuclear test, and it's about 15 minutes of the movie, and it's very underwhelming, but it's more of a courtroom drama than anything.
So what are people getting wrong? Because here are the reviews. They are almost unanimously glowing.
Which blows
Oppenheimer
my mind.
is a powerful film that just might wreck you. That's in Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan's devastating, explosive, magnum opus.
Yes.
Paul Schrader, the Oscar-winning screenwriter. He called it the best. This is a guy who wrote Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, worked with Scorsese. Gwen worked with him on Dog Eat Dog here in Cleveland some years back. He called it the best film of the century.
Okay.
Unanimously glowing reviews for Oppenheimer.
And
you think they're just all drinking at the teat, or what's happening?
I don't
here?
know what they may have seen a different movie than me. They may just like things different.
The best film of Christopher Nolan's career and the best film of 2023.
Would you feel differently if you didn't see it in IMAX?
I know, because it was just. I saw it for free, so I don't care if I see it in IMAX. Like you can sell it as this IMAX movie, and it's just not that big of a deal with the cinematography. Like it looks nice, it looks good. Everybody, it's shot well. Obviously, knows how to shoot a movie. But the one thing that Christopher Nolan loves to do that drives me absolutely insane is he gets. So is this the score to the movie?
This is part of it. This is the Trinity test theme.
So he'll take this, and when someone's saying something important, he'll turn this all the way up. So
but
that
he does
you
that with
can't-
all his movies.
and you can't hear what they're saying because they're trying to make it. I don't know. Maybe my ears don't work well,
Here's what I don't understand.
but I have more to say.
But here,
what don't you understand?
what I don't understand about IMAX is they say see it in IMAX, and you went to Crocker Park,
Mm-hmm.
right? Crocker Park has IMAX. That's where I saw Mission Impossible.
it's digital
But it's
IMAX.
not the 70 millimeter IMAX,
Right.
which I think is there isn't even one of those in Ohio. You have to go to Detroit. You have to go to Philadelphia. You have to go to Indianapolis. For that, we used to have one in Chicago. We don't have anymore. The 70 millimeter IMAX, which is like you're overwhelmed by the screen. That's not what they have. It's like the kind of IMAX you see at like science centers and things like that. They don't have that at Crocker Park.
Yeah.
So what's the point if it's not?
Even if it's that, all you're seeing is really big faces. Like, I don't know how big I need to see Cillian Murphy's face because 90% of the movie is just a camera 4 feet away from his face.
It's a good face, though.
It's a fine face, but like you don't need to see it like bigger. Like
People are talking about how he lost a bunch of weight for the movie. I'm like, the dude didn't have that much to lose. What did he lose weight for?
So then you
He's
have
like a $140 soaking wet.
Then you have the aspects that really drove me crazy, where this is a very interesting story. Like, I'm into the story of it, but it seems like he took an 8-episode series and pushed it all into a 3-hour movie. So the cuts and the pacing of it, and that's probably to build tension, is really frenetic. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, can we just let a scene breathe? Or do we just have to jump and jump and jump and jump? And then you have everybody in it is a star. So you're never like, oh, this is this guy playing this, this is this character. You're
It's
like,
all A-list.
Oh, it's Matt Damon and Josh Hartnett and
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. and the elf from Santa Claus. Like, there's not one moment in this movie where you are watching someone and just letting them be the character they are in the film, because
The elf
they're all
from Santa
so
Claus.
Bernard.
famous. Yeah, Bernard.
I don't know his real name. He was also in, what's the teenage movie he was in?
10 Things I Hate About You. Yeah.
Okay.
And then in the moments where there is a lot of drama, instead of letting the actors interact with each other and have a moment to let the situation build, Christopher Nolan does this thing where he has like the background behind Oppenheimer start shaking, or it's like a flash that
Camera
reminds
tricks.
you that he invented a bomb. And then or like there's he was a womanizer, so it's him having sex with a lady, but it like cuts to that real quick and then back, and it's like, just
So
let
is it
the moments be the moments and let them be tense. It was tense enough, and then when you're jumping into these abstract moments, it's taken me out of it because I just was enjoying what you were doing.
Is
So-
it more of a character study on Oppenheimer rather than, like, who's the star of the film? Is it him or the bomb?
Oppenheimer is the star of the film. Robert Downey Jr. is in. That's another thing. His character really didn't need to be into the movie until the third act.
He's a
Like,
senator, right?
The third hour, you could have had that, but they're doing the time jump thing, because if you're putting Robert Downey Jr. in your movie, you can't have him a 3-hour movie and he's not in the first 2 hours. You got to have him all throughout the movie. So they're doing the time jump things, which I'm just so over that kind of storytelling. Like, just tell a story in a linear way. It's fine to do that. And so I
But
think
Emily Blunt, she's got to be good, right? She's
yeah,
lovely.
she's mad and she's drunk. Like, it's
Hell yeah.
like no one's
Love that.
like
They're setting you up for the sequel. Oppenheimer's wife, mad and drunk.
like all these like people talking about, oh, these great performances. I think anger, or kind of angry, is the easiest thing to play. Like, I just was so, my expectations were sky high, and I saw a AMC series that was squished into a 3-hour movie. That's what it was to me. And people are acting like it's this magnum opus saying things like this, his best work, the best, and I wasn't feeling it. And the people that I saw it with, and I feel like the whole theater like kind of walked out like, what do we just watch? But then there's this hype machine.
So you weren't alone in your opinion.
No, and we didn't talk about it at all during the movie, but we got done, and I look at Pants, and he goes, that kind of sucked, right? And I'm like, yeah, that was not good. It was not, like, it was an interesting story told in a very, like, mundane, uninteresting way. Like, they could have made it more of a, I think you have all these moments where, like, they're flashing atoms and little things like that, and I think you could have just made it more of a standard film and let the story and the performances speak for themselves. But every few minutes, Christopher Nolan's got to turn up the volume or put some sparks in there and be like, hey, pretty good at making movies, aren't I? I make a lot of movies, and I make them pretty good. I know a lot about film, and that's how I felt like what that movie was.
I tried to watch Tenet on a flight back from Denver, and I was like, what is going on in this? Just with headphones on. I was like, oh, I'll hear it better because it'll be right in my ears.
No,
that didn't help.
Whatever he's doing with sound is not good. He since The Dark Knight Rises, he's had this whole thing where unintelligible speech is something that really gets him going. He loves that. He loves when you can't hear what his actors are saying.
I'm so surprised by this because when I bitch about horror movies, you say to me all the time, why can't you just let the movie be what it is?
I know.
Why can't you just let it be 3 hours of close-ups on Cillian Murphy's face?
I could have if Christopher Nolan wouldn't keep shooting sparks and turning the music up so I can't hear what his actors are saying. And then
maybe that's what he wants. He wants sparks and music.
Yeah. Well,
Bill kept yelling Stoppenheimer at the screen.
Oh, God. Please
Oppenheimer.
You're welcome.
But people seem to love it. I just thought it was like filmmakers and all those nerds, like, oh, the color grading. Like, if you have to walk out of a movie and go, like, the color grading was amazing, that's not a good movie.
Because what does every
Be
director,
honest with yourself.
What does every director and actor say? It's all about the story.
Yes.
It's all about the writing. So do you think that maybe you'll be the tip of the spear on the Oppenheimer backlash?
Got a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's what I'm saying. This thing is being
10
universally...
10 out of 10 IGN, 5 out of 5 AV Club.
This thing is being universally lauded, and Bill is out there.
And I don't get it.
No, good for you.
I
want to
thought
see
it was a bad movie, and I like everybody that I was watching it with was like, that was kind of a bad movie.
Now I want to go see it just to see if it's as bad as you say.
Yeah, well,
I figured I'd be seeing it by myself, but last night Gwen was like, I'll go see Oppenheimer with you. I'm like, cool. Love to.
I just think there's a lot of hype about this movie, and then like the whole, like, you don't got to see it in IMAX. That's especially since around here you don't even get the right 70 millimeter.
Right.
And that's such a nerd, like, film nerd type of thing where it's like 1080p versus 4K, Mary. If I tell you something 1080p or 4K, do you see any difference?
I know
like,
4K is supposed to be better.
Well, but also it's not going to make the story better if the picture is bigger.
And again, I think the story's interesting. Like, I was into
Well, then maybe you should have seen it on 70 millimeter.
I think the story was interesting. It's the way I kept getting interrupted by Christopher Nolan's style
His
in
tricks.
this movie.
Yeah.
His tricks, his sound mixing was not good. And then just like the whole time jumping thing around, just tell stories in order. There's nothing wrong with that. And here's an example. When you watch the movie Saving Private Ryan, and they're storming the beach at Normandy, you're terrified.
It's one long tracking shot.
It's one long tracking shot, and you feel like you are on the beach with them, and it's like...
But didn't Nolan do that for Dunkirk?
He did that for Dunkirk.
He had long shots like that.
Yeah, but not in this movie. In this movie, every shot, every scene felt like it was 30 seconds long. Like, everything was like, we should build a bomb. Okay, let's build a bomb. Well, don't build that bomb. We don't want to build that bomb. And then
It's a lot of arguing about bombs.
Yeah, and then Matt Damon's character is like this tough as nails general that just gets walked all over. He's like, we do things my way or the highway. Like, well, we already did. And he's like, okay, well, fine. Like, I'm like, what?
Wow.
I wasn't impressed the way other people are. And again, maybe it's because my expectations were so high that it was going to be this achievement in filmmaking that I thought it just fell incredibly short. And I don't think he
Well, if
gave
there had
up-
been more consensus on your opinion, then all of the reviews would be like, talk about a bomb.
Right.
But everybody's loving
But
this
everybody
thing.
loves it
Well,
except
now
for
I'm really
me.
excited to see it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that this gets you excited to see it.
No, I wanted to see it, but now I'm curious because I may walk out with the exact same opinion as you.
It's
But
just,
we'll find out, I guess.
and I don't know. It just seemed like anytime I was starting to get into the story, I was taken out of it by little things that Christopher Nolan was doing that were just like, yeah, it's a blockbuster. It's a big movie. And then I don't know. It didn't hit for me.
So
And
out
again,
of five,
like a story.
out of 5, you give it what?
I give it a 2.
A 2 out of
no,
5?
I'll give it a 1.
A
I'll
1
give it
out of 5. All
I'll
right.
give it a 1. I'm going to stand by my 1.
I've got to take a break here. More colleague rants to get to. Bill is a big old no on Oppenheimer